Welcome back, Spider friends. Magic the Gathering Spider-Man pre-release weekend. We are on location. Played in the pre-release last night with Beholdeth. It was a marathon. It was a doozy. It was a learning experience. It was our first time playing together and playing in a pre-release since Theros back in the day. So, quite the time. But we'll talk about that in another video. Today I just wanted to really quick go through my pre-release box. Your boy had more Final Fantasy luck than he did Edge of Eternity's luck, unfortunately for me. But we popped open our Spider-Man box. The gloves are off today for this, by the way. Friendly, amazing, spectacular. And let's get into it. So I'll start off just going through what's in the box, and then we'll get into what I played with. As you can see, killer Spider-Man art on the box, cool emblems, your average token counters. Pretty neat box. Pretty cool comic feelings. I definitely have some thoughts on this set, but we'll get into that whenever we get to another video. For now, let's just check out. That's probably the coolest thing I saw, and I didn't even realize that was the... I saw this laying on somebody's table, and I'm like, oh, sick art card, and I didn't even realize how much bigger it was. That's your card divider for your box. Let's see. Dice. I should have had that out earlier. Sorry. Dice is pretty basic. I will say that the... Oh, where's my dice? Did I lose it? I hope not. Here we go. Dice is, it's on the basic side, but it's pretty cool. It's got a little Spider-Man emblem on there. I mean, the colors, I think, behold, this was white. The colors, I'll say very roughly correspond with the mana colors, I guess. They didn't go very Spider-Man with them. The cards, however, some of them look pretty dang cool. So, let's get into it. I didn't get a lot of black, enough that I felt like I could play, so we have a foil swarm of Bean of Bees, Merciless Enforcers, Risky Research, the Merciless Enforcers, a cool, sick as it is, foil and everything, Venom Evil Unleashed, Spot's Portal, 1 Scorpion Sting, 1 Venom's Hunger, 1 Inner Demon's Gangsters. Not much in the swamp department. Green got a little better, and I really debated trying to go green. I just felt like I didn't really have enough, but in retrospect, going green-red may have been the way to go. We've got Spider-Man Brooklyn Visionary. We have 2, including this foil Ezekiel Sim Spider Totems, a Pro Wrestler, Guy in the Chair. The only alternate kind of artwork that I pulled on anything is this Radioactive Spider, which is pretty sweet. He's a 1-drop, 1/1 with Reach and Death Touch, and a sack ability. And then Grow Extra Arms, which, playing against Gruul players, I can say that this owned me several times, and I did not enjoy it. Pictures of Spider-Man. So not a lot of green either. And obviously I didn't pull that one Craven card that's Golgari, so didn't go Swamp Forest. Let's get into these. Morbius, the Living Vampire. Vampire looks pretty sweet. Craven Proud Predator. One of the earlier things I opened that I was like, maybe I go green-red. And then here's some stuff that stayed out of the deck. So as you can tell, this went a very certain direction. Oh, sorry. Tokens. Here we go. Here's another couple. Rhino Rampage, which I probably should have kept in what I eventually played, and then a Symbiote Spider-Man, which is pretty sweet. And I strongly debated throwing this into my deck as well. And probably should have. So, what we left out was a Masked Meower, both the Taxi Drivers, Robotics Mastery. I think I have a couple amazing acrobatics in here, probably. Didn't get these organized very well. No. Doc Ock's Henchman, Doc Ock's Sinister Scientist, which is pretty sweet. I only saw him out there once. School Days, Whoosh. Unstable Experiment, which I was running and then took out in favor of some more removal, and then a Flying Octobot. Blue has a lot of really cool cards. I feel like red got the most cool cards, but Here's some white that was left out. Daily Bugle Reporter, Web Shooters, 2 Starling Aerial Allies, 2 Spider-Man Web Slingers, and a Wild Pack Squad. Then we get into the artifacts, which I also probably in retrospect should have had at least a few of these in here. Doc Ock Tentacles, Peter Parker's Camera, 2 of those, 2 Subway Trains, Spider Slayer Hatred Honed, a couple Copters, a couple Mechanical Mobsters, Hot Dog Cart, and a Steel Wrecking Ball, which I do love the artwork on that. Oh, and Shriek, Troublemaker, which I also debated putting in the deck. So what did I end up playing with? Well, as you could probably tell, Jeskai, and I'll get to the reason why in a second, but I've kind of had this thing lately where, especially after the Final Fantasy experiment, I should say, my gut instinct when it's like, oh, all signs are pointing to Boros is don't go Boros because it's too expensive. I had a kind of a different problem, but this was my promo card, Aranya, Heart of the Spider. And spoiler alert, this was the workhorse in my deck. I don't know if people just weren't looking at the card or weren't, at times I wasn't really a threat, so it wasn't an issue that she was out there, but anytime she was out there was the only time I was able to put up a fight or win. So yeah, I guess I should have started with that. Your boy didn't do so hot. I went, let's see, won 1 round, lost another, tied 2 others. So it could have gone better. But Aranya, Heart of the Spider, whenever you attack, put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature, which was the most important thing. And then I kept forgetting this whenever a modified creature, because I kept forgetting what modified was. Modified creature you control deals combat damage to a player, exile top card of your library, and you may play that card this turn. I did remember that by the last 2 rounds where I drew and then I was winning. So, yeah, I should have been a little more on top of that, and that's on me. But the reason we ended up going Jeskai is because, at least for 2 rounds, was this card, Go Spider. So this is Gwen, the Transforming Gwen. Comes out as Gwen Stacy, and you exile the top card of your library. You may play that card as long as you control this creature, and then transform her into Go Spider, Flying, Vigilance, Haste. I think I got to transform her twice the whole night, because once she came out, I guess people were aware, oh, it's a transform card in a Mythic Rare, let's blast it. So she got, poor Gwen, she died many times over last night, as she is wont to do in the Spidey universe. Shocked, Scorpion Stung, Wisecracked, all kinds of stuff. She did not ever, interestingly enough, nobody ever Scorpion Stung or did anything to Aranya. Aranya stayed out the whole time. Gwen I didn't get to use much, so didn't have a lot of counter spells to keep her alive in my deck. And we'll get to the quote-unquote Big Daddy later. So I went blue, white, red, and Jeskai, and I took all the regular lands out of it. But the reason I did that, other than needing blue to transform her, was look at these. I think every package I had, my land was a dual land except for 1 plains, which we'll have Beholdeth show his off later, because his looked a lot cooler than mine. But that is Ominous Asylum, aka Blood Crypt, University Campus, and Suburban Sanctuary. So plenty of white and a little bit of blue, but I had all 5 colors in dual lands, and I felt like I could get away with 3 pretty easy. And the first time around, I just didn't build the deck as well as I should have. But here's what we had in there by the end. Costume Closet adds +1/+1 counters when you tap it and move counters off of it. Aunt May, which did some good work keeping me in games. Most of my rounds went the full hour and a little over, so she, small but mighty. And then I was using the white and green dual lands to pull out Gallant Citizen, which was basically just to draw cards. And that was kind of my problem. I didn't have a real clear strategy with these. It was kind of half discard draw and half counters. Selfless Police Captain enters with a +1, and then when he dies, you move the +1s. I forget what card that's mirrored after. And then we had some blue, and I had more blue in here, like I said, with Unstable Experiment at one point, but we did Mob Lookout so we could connive and draw and add +1s with that blue. And then we did Spider-Man No More as a sort of removal, which really helped playing some Rakdos decks that I played against, which had Menace and Trample and all kinds of abilities that were difficult to deal with when I wasn't getting creatures out. I probably could have used less mana and put more creatures in my deck, and I think I'll do that the next time I use it. But here's some of the creatures. We had one Mass Meower in there because I needed something I could get out quick and throw away. Hobgoblin, which is a really sweet looking card, and I love the artwork on it. I love that he's throwing a pumpkin bomb. The discard thing works well with, let me find it here. This thing ended up being pretty helpful to me, which I guess it is a rare now that I look at it. Shadow of the Goblin. So at the beginning of your first main phase, discard a card. When you discard, the Hobgoblin will get a +2 if he's already out there. And then if you do, draw a card whenever you play land or cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, which really only happened when I was exiling something when I entered Gwen. It deals 1 damage to each opponent, so that second part of it wasn't very important, but the top part was. So Hobgoblin did a little work. See, Spider Islanders, I only had one, the only card I had with Mayhem, but this helped in the discard scenario, you know, discard that and then just play it cheaper, so that strategy worked well when I could combine them. You got to have a couple shocks in there for removal. Heroes Hangout, which I think I ended up discarding as much as I ended up using it just because I needed creatures, and I never really had, when I had this card, I didn't really have the creatures to pump up with it. Romantic Rendezvous, which helps in the discard scenario. And I guess the nice thing about probably playing with too many lands was I had a lot of things to discard. Wisecrack, which saved my bacon on many occasions despite how expensive it is for removal, and helped me do a little chip damage here and there. Target creature does damage equal to itself, which is nice for those 2/3 death touches that are in black cards, and then does 2 damage if it's attacking to the player. And Spider Manifest, so I had some mana rock to get out some green. So, oh, and then Gwen Free Spirit, who is a 2/3 and doesn't do much. I didn't end up using her a whole lot to attack. She was kind of just there as a threat to keep other things from attacking me, which she worked for, but not as strong as Aranya. So I had all 5 colors, like I said. And when I pulled this card, I was like, great, how am I ever going to use that? And then I debated briefly putting it in the beginning when I was building the deck, and I was like, no, I'll never get all those different lands out at the same time. And after the second round, and I'd realized I was getting all those lands every time, I went ahead and did it and threw in Cosmic Spider-Man, and I actually got to play him 2 or 3 times. And those were the games that well, the first time I pulled them was a game I pretty much had in the bag on the next turn, but I played him anyway just because I wanted to play him. But yeah, Flying, First Strike, Trample, Lifelink, Haste, beginning of combat. He gives everything else those abilities, and he's a 5/5. Yeah, I mean, I should have just been running it from the beginning. But that was Spider-Man. Like I said, it was a lot of fun. Beholdeth and I both ended up winning a round, at least. So we're going to have a little fun with these in a different video. Our singular play booster. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on with this thing, because this is just weird. This is a whole nother story. But yeah, if you haven't already, get out there, get signed up. It's fun, man. You know, I have my opinions on the set, and we'll talk about that with Beholdeth later in a different video, but it was a good time. Pre-release is always a good time. It's a cool way to, you know, meet new people and play with new cards, and everybody's kind of just, you know, geeking out over what they pulled, and the atmosphere is addictive and electric, I will say, on pre-release. So enough of this shaky cam business. We'll see you guys very soon, and until that time, peace.